What's up guys, Spin Firearms here, and today we're going to be talking about my favorite firearm that I got for $300. Now, when you take a look at the table right here, you see firearms of all prices, right? We got the Beretta Pico I paid like $250 for. You got the Ruger SR9C, which I paid like $300 for. You know, you have the Glock 30, Chamberlain 45, I paid about $510, $515 for. You got the IWI Masada, which is about $420. You have the Stoeger STR9C, which is about $250. Then you come over here to a firearm I bought used and was probably one of my best purchases to date. The Smith & Wesson M&P 40C. Now yes, I make videos on this quite often, and I think that's because I love this firearm, I'm invested in this firearm, and I truly trust this firearm. Not only is it amazing looking with the stainless steel slide, with the black frame, but this thing is just built like an absolute tank. But before we get started, hit the like button, drop a comment down below, subscribe, tell me what your cheapest firearm that you trust your life with is, what kind it is, what kind of holster you carry with, and what kind of carry ammo. Let's get started. The Smith & Wesson M&P 40C. Even though it's considered a compact, this is when Smith & Wesson was messing up all their names while naming them. This is the exact same size as the subcompact, right? And so you can use the subcompact and you can use this, and the holsters will work for both, which is great. But they still named it a compact. On top of that, since it's in 40, KKM Precision and companies like that, they make conversion barrels. If you don't like the 40 out of it, you can run 9mm. You can also run 357 SIG. But in this case, I am keeping it in 40 because it runs 40 like an absolute champ. Let's just break it down real quick. This is a 10+1 setup of 40. You can also use the flush mag, but right now I have it on with the pinky extension. Still very easy to conceal. Very similar in size to the Glock 26, the Glock 27 and the 26. The 27 and 26 are a little shorter here and also a little shorter in the barrel. But they do have about the same length barrel, but it is overall shorter. It's also a little thinner. This thing is a thick boy, but we're going to get into that because that isn't necessarily a bad thing. Now it does have different back straps, although I bought it used, so it only came with this back strap. Luckily, that fits the swell of my hand real well. It fits my palm perfectly almost. I absolutely love it. It does come with a rail, so you can throw some lights on there. Comes with rear serrations, no forward serrations, which isn't a big deal for running a pistol. Stainless steel guide rod, and it does come with the hinge trigger. Now, how does this feel in the hand? Texturing wise, it's not completely there. It needs a little bit more texturing on it, but I run it just like this just fine, but I prefer a little bit better texturing. But overall feel of it, it is very natural for your point of aim, feels good in the hand, and this back strap actually feels like a little soft. So it like feels soft in your hand, which is a nice feeling, especially with a 40. The rear serrations do a great job. They come with 3-dot sights that are white, which you can swap out. Obviously, I need to swap them out for some night sights, but I do carry this thing. I carried it a lot this summer, and now that it's getting colder again, I'm going to carry it again. It can also take larger magazines from its larger brother, so if you want more capacity than 10 rounds of 40, you can throw the larger mags in, similar to a Glock 27, and it's going to run flawlessly. Now, it does have the hinge trigger in it, and a magazine disconnect, so if you remove that mag, you cannot pull the trigger anymore, but you put the mag back in, and now you can pull the trigger. It uses the hinge trigger, which I do like because it's fast if you learn how to shoot it. But what I have noticed is some people who have never shot this firearm before, they have their finger too high up on that trigger. Therefore, it hits. Therefore, your dingus is hitting because it uses that hinge. You have to be down here to remove that little piece right there in order for the trigger to go bang. So always make sure that you are training and getting your finger as low on that trigger as possible. But let's talk about what makes this firearm so special. It's in 40, which I think 40 is one of the greatest rounds. Probably one of my favorite rounds. And the reason for that is you get not only capacity, but you get power. 11 rounds, a 10+1 setup, will basically get you out of any situation. And on top of that, it's 40, so it's going to be hitting harder. And if you pair it with some Civil Liberty Defense rounds or Extreme Defenders from Underwood, you have a light setup that is extremely powerful and fast with that capacity. And what makes this firearm so great is 40, a lot of people think is snappy, but not with this firearm. This firearm shoots 40 like a 9mm. If you don't believe me, rent one or go buy one. I bought it used. Like I said, this was a law enforcement backup firearm. That's why they sold it. The law enforcement agencies that were using them got rid of them and sold them used to a firearm company, and they sold them used. And so this was a backup firearm, so I figured, if If it's his backup firearm, he probably doesn't train with it that much. So when I picked it up, I took it down, looked at the internals, and the thing was basically flawless. I'm the reason for all the damage on it and scratches and the barrel being worn out. That was me. And what's awesome about this firearm, other than the recoil, is you can find replacement barrels for it everywhere. I already have a black replacement barrel for it, for if I ever put too many rounds for it, and it was like $84 on eBay brand new, and it's Smith & Wesson. So you can find barrels for it. Like I said, KKM Precision makes plenty of barrels for it. You can literally find whatever you need, and that's what's huge about it. Holster options are all there. I have great holster options for it. Like I said, I do carry this. Now, that thick, heavy slide, right? Yes, you know, it makes it a little heavier, but when it comes to concealability, that doesn't affect anything. That's going to be this. But the grip is so short, you never print with this thing. It tucks away so easily. Plus, it's a 40, 10 rounds, and it handles recoil like a beast. This thing is so fast. The follow-up shots are so smooth. For instance, when I shoot a Glock 26 next to a 27, I don't feel like the 27 feels like I'm shooting the 26 and 9mm. I feel like I'm shooting a 40. When I shoot this, and then I go shoot, you know, like my Glock 26, I'm like, holy crap. This thing is almost as soft shooting and has as little recoil as my 26, which is amazing considering it's in 40. On top of that, it's been 100% reliable, 100% flawless. You can literally pick any defensive ammo you want, and this thing's going to run it. I still do test it, like I test all my carry firearms, but I absolutely love this thing. And here's the thing, guys. This isn't no $1,000 gun. This isn't $2,400. This isn't the newest release. This isn't have all the hype behind it. It's not ported. It's not comped. It literally has nothing special about it. But I love this firearm. It's in my top 5 carry rotation right now, and that's simply because of the power to recoil ratio. You're getting that strong power out of that 40, that big boy round, but no recoil. Very little muzzle flip. This handles 40. So a lot of people switch over from 40, just like police officers did, because a lot of them couldn't pass their qualifications, and a lot of people think 40 is snappy. When you pick something like this up and start shooting it, you're like, holy crap, I get all that power, but yet very little recoil. Why wouldn't I go with a 40? So that's why I always tell people, don't sleep on older firearms. Don't sleep on firearms. Oh yeah, another thing about this, just like my Ruger SR9C, right? These are older firearms. Nobody carries them anymore, and if they do, it's rare. No one talks about them anymore. But they're built like tanks. They're built to take a beating. They're built to be carried. They're built to last. Like this firearm, this is a great truck gun. This is great, like literally everything. This thing can take an absolute beating and run reliably, and it's a tool at the end of the day, so that's what you want. What would the point be of my Milwaukee Impact if it couldn't take a beating, if I couldn't drop it? My Milwaukee Sawzall, if I couldn't drop it and it'd be fine, if it couldn't, you know, fall down a flight of steps and be okay, that type of thing. What is the point? It's the same thing with your firearm. If I can't beat this thing up, if I can't accidentally drop it when I'm training, or it bangs on some wood, or it hits a concrete corner or something and run fine, then what's the point? I want a firearm that can run and last through all conditions. You never know when crap is going to hit the fan, especially with nowadays with all these wars popping up and people starving and just chaos everywhere, and our own country not taking care of its United States citizens. The world's getting crazy. This is one of those firearms that will outlast any situation, and I absolutely love it. That is why it is my favorite handgun and most trustworthy handgun for $300. And trust me, guys, go out and get one. You'll love it. Anyways, guys, I appreciate it. Thanks for watching. I'll leave about 10 seconds of me showing the firearm up close, just so you guys can see it in detail. And, you know, don't hate on something like this. Take it in. Realize the beauty in, you know, an old law enforcement. This was carried by a police officer. This was his backup. So there's just something special about that. Just a good overall firearm. And if you watch my videos where I talk about this firearm before, I had law enforcement officers in the comments saying, yeah, that was actually our backup, you know, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. I carried that, blah, blah, blah. And they said they're great shooting handguns, and they really are. You can probably still find these used online now that everyone's switching to 9mm and Glocks and so on. But just a good overall firearm. You can't complain. And if this was my first handgun that I ever bought, I would have been perfectly fine. If I only had one handgun, I would be fine with this. This has it all. And once again, when you have 40, you have a very, very versatile round, because you can convert this to 9mm, you can convert it to 357 SIG, and on top of that, you can use this as your home defense, because you can throw in a larger mag, throw a light on there. You can use this as your everyday carry as is, but you could also flex into a bear defense or a woods defense with 200 grain hard cast from Federal, and that's going to be close, you know, your closest thing. 9mm, you're not going to be able to put down a bear very easily, let alone a grizzly. But if you carry a 40 with hard cast, you have a much better chance. Now, obviously, I carry my Glock 29 in the woods. This is my bear defense firearm, and this is what I recommend. But the point is, you could get away with it, and you could defend yourself with a 40, with a high-powered round, or a high-pressured round that's hard cast. So anyways, guys, I appreciate it. Thanks for watching.